My GF is lying to me about texting her ex. What should I do about it? A few days ago my GF left her phone down beside me unlocked while she was in the shower. I'm not a snoopy person, but when I glanced at the screen I seen that her latest message was from her ex. She had told me that he randomly sent her a dick pic a few weeks ago and she told him not to contact her again, but when I seen this recent message, curiosity got the better of me and I read the messages. I know this a huge breach of trust, but I needed to know what they were saying to one another. The messages only started about 2 weeks ago. It was just them sending Instagram reels to each other. There was a bit of small talk but nothing bad. In fact, one of her messages to him was her bragging about how much sex we are having. I didn't see any bad messages there for me to be concerned about, but I still don't like that she's in contact with her ex. They were together for 10 years on and off, so it looks like she always went back to him, so I'm just worried this is him trying to weasel his way back in. I confronted her about it the other night. I asked her if he has tried to contact her since he sent that picture. She hesitated before she eventually said yes, told me he was only sending reels on Instagram. Then I asked if she has replied to him. This time she hesitated even longer, at least 4 to 5 seconds of silence before she answered, which I found odd because it was a simple yes or no question. She told me she hasn't replied to him. I knew straight away it was a lie just from how she paused, and I also seen the messages. I didn't want to argue over it because we were having a good evening together and I didn't want to ruin it, so I told her I believed her and trusted her, just to see if the guilt would eat her up a little and she would just confess to me, but it didn't. A day or two passed and it's playing on my mind and I'm not doing a good job hiding the fact I'm clearly annoyed, so she keeps asking me what is wrong. I eventually tell her I'm annoyed, that I know she's lying about texting her ex. She then tells me she's sorry she lied and she had replied to one of his messages but didn't recall texting him back, so that's what took her so long to answer, because she was trying to think if she replied to him or not. She obviously doesn't know I seen the messages. She told me she would block him and that would be the end of it. She made the mistake of leaving her phone unlocked beside me again and I seen he had sent her a message only 3 hours ago. The message was unread so I couldn't open it or she'd know I'd opened it. He has sent several messages so I couldn't see what he had wrote, and there was nothing in the notification bar, so she obviously swiped it away so I wouldn't see it, or has it muted so it doesn't pop up on her phone. I just want to know why she is lying to my face about texting him if she hasn't actually said anything to him to upset me. I've seen the messages and they're nothing for me to be concerned about, but she's hiding the fact they're in contact. Also, I'm assuming the reason she paused when I confronted her about it because she was trying to remember what they were talking about in case I asked to see the messages if she had told me she was texting him. Update. Today my suspicions were at an all-time high. She was acting strange with me, so I just knew something was up. I dropped her home to her own place. She lives about 30 minutes away. Once I arrive back at my own place we are texting, normal conversation as per usual, and then out of nowhere she texts me saying she's going to hang with one of her female friends for a couple of hours. I replied telling her to have fun. After an hour the message I had sent still went unopened, which I found weird because she always texted me back when she's with friends. I don't force her to text me back, nor do I expect it. It's just something she does, so I found it quite odd she wasn't replying. I knew something was off. I get in my car and drive over to her town and park up the road from her house and just wait. After about 20 minutes I see a car pull in and park up for about 5 minutes. Eventually I can see the silhouette of a woman exit the car. It's getting dark at the stage so I can't really make out who it is. I was just operating off instinct. This car pulls off and drives past me. To my shock it wasn't her friend driving the car who she said she was with. While I didn't know what her ex looked like as I had never seen pictures or anything, I just got a basic description from her in passing. She used words like skinny, scruffy, bad hairline. So it was pretty dark and he drove past pretty quick. I didn't get a chance to take a good look at him, but I just had a gut feeling, so I start my car and follow him. He finally pulls into a house after about 15 minutes of trailing him and I still can't get a clear look at him, but I've decided in my own head this is the guy, so I start planning how to tackle this, and this is what I came up with. I drive back to her house and arrive unannounced. She's shocked but happy to see me. I'm a very calm and collected kind of guy, so I can hide my emotions very good, so I let on like I'm happy to see her. I tell her to get dressed and put shoes on because I have surprise for her. She's skeptical but goes along with it because I always do spontaneous things like this. We're driving along in my car and I keep glancing over at her to try and gauge her reactions, but the whole time she's smiling and asking where we're going. The closer we get the more I look at her to see if she even has the slightest idea what's going on. She has no idea, or at least hid it so well, right up until I pulled right up and parked behind her ex's car and I say surprise. I ask her does she know whose car that is and she says her ex's name. I point at the house and say who lives in there and she says her ex's name. I'm finally getting some honesty out of her. I ask her what her reason was for her getting out of his car if she was supposed to be with her friend. She tells me she was in the shop with her friend and they bump into him and he tagged along for a walk. I don't buy it for a second and tell her to try again. She tells the same story, so I tell her to open up her messages from him to show me they haven't been in contact. She doesn't know I've seen the messages yet. She refuses and says she'll ring her ex and he can come out to explain. I tell her not to bother with that yet, I'll deal with him after, but she rings him anyways. This guy eventually came out and I got a good look at him. I'm not one to toot my own horn or attack someone else's physical appearance, but I can tell straight away I'm better than this guy in every way. I'm a good looking guy and I go to the gym every day, so I'm in pretty good shape. This guy was decrepit looking, scrawny and had a terrible hairline, like it was holding on for dear life. I almost felt sorry for him. I could see fear in his eyes. He literally just came out of his house. I rolled down my window and told him to get the fuck away and he disappeared pretty quickly, ran back inside and texted her to see if she was okay. Real coward behavior. I kept telling her to show me the messages to prove her innocence and I would drop it, but she was refusing. I eventually just told her that she didn't need to show me any messages because I'd already seen them all, so now she knew I had her caught out. She opened the messages and showed them to me, trying to defend what he was saying, but that was a losing battle. Long story short, I dumped her ass and now I'm on to bigger and better things. I'm just writing this to tell you, when you have a feeling deep in your gut that something isn't right, then you should always trust it because your gut knows best, and in the situation where it's wrong, then you can at least explain why you had these insecurities to begin with. Never settle for any less, my kings and queens. Comment. Communication. Talk to her, say you saw the pop-up on her phone, which is true, and what's up with that, since usually you don't get these from PPL you've blocked. If that doesn't solve it, you might need to tell her that you read the conversation a few days back when she was in the shower, reiterating that you don't have any problem with the matter of fact, but just with her not being honest with you could help here. Not the elegant way, to go through her phone, I agree, but overall you being annoyed over it doesn't make it any better, so you need to solve the problem, together. I'm an old dude who has been on both sides of this. I've contacted an ex and been contacted by an ex for the same reasons. He may be trying to keep her in his orb, for sex, or whatever. She may not be over him, 10 years on and off, maybe it's time for on. Not sure how long you've been dating, but it really doesn't matter. A lie is a lie and should be taken seriously, doesn't matter if you've been dating a day or 20 years. I had to attend a party quite a distance from my long-term girlfriend and was getting quite a bit of attention. We had been apart for months and I was a little lonely. My mentor said something to me that night that stuck with me: never put yourself in a conversation or place that your girlfriend wouldn't be comfortable with. Would she and her ex be comfortable with what was said to each other if it was in a group text with you, dick pic and all? If not, why is she still in contact with him? Friends with exes can work, but rarely does, and then there's the why of it. There's your answer. You're exposing yourself to a metric fuck ton of potential pain based on what you posted. You sound like you really like her. I hope you find love and happiness. Next story 2. I was stabbed and now my soon-to-be ex-husband, 34M, wants to cancel the divorce. My soon-to-be ex-husband and I had been married for 12 years. We got married at 22. About 4 months ago he asked me for a divorce after confessing to me that he was having an affair and that he was in love with that person. At first I took it badly, but I have always said that if there is a third person in a relationship, someone is left out. I also didn't want to waste my energy begging for something I know won't come back. His mother got sick and I had to take care of her at night since the lady is quite picky with other people. She always treated me badly, but I still took care of her. This delayed the divorce a bit. I guess they were using me as a nurse or babysitter, lol. A month and a half ago I was assaulted when I was going to work. I don't have a car. My husband always drove me, but he stopped after filing for divorce. I didn't have much with me, just my cell phone and about $10, so I was stabbed for not carrying much in your pockets. Lat moment. My emergency contact was my husband and the whole thing. He now doesn't want a divorce since he says that this altercation opened his eyes and that he really can't imagine a life without me. It was going to be an uncontested divorce since this type of divorce is totally free in my country and I'm stingy enough to not want to pay a lawyer's fees, but now he doesn't want a divorce. I'm living with my mother and my soon-to-be ex-husband comes every day to screw up my existence. What do I do to get rid of it? I already made it clear to him that I don't want anything from him. Besides, I already hired a lawyer to advise me, but he says it's taking too long because he doesn't want a divorce. Comment. Continue with the divorce. I'm not sure about laws in your country, but I hope there is a way to get a protection order against him so he cannot just come by and harass you. The only reason he wants to stay married is because that person he was so in love with didn't love him back. Stay safe and stay strong. Tell him that his affair opened your eyes to the fact that he's a dishonorable man who you don't trust, don't love, and don't respect, and that you can't imagine a life with him. If he keeps showing up, call the police and have him trespassed from the property and, if possible, get a restraining order because he's harassing you. Also tell everyone you both know, your family, his family, all friends, that he cheated and left for his affair partner and now is harassing you and adding to your burdens. Continue with the divorce. Tell your mom to not let him in anymore, and if he comes, tell her to tell him to fuck off. And if she doesn't, you will have no choice but to move out. Your ex knows you don't drive, you got stabbed because he no longer cares about you enough to make sure you're safe. Head for the hills. Stop looking after his mom and making his life easier when he doesn't do the same for you. You shouldn't have to almost die for him to realize he cares. So you're soon, maybe, to be ex-husband sounds like a pretty fickle guy. He was married to you for 12 years and I presume saying he loved you. Then 4 months ago he comes to you and says, well I've been cheating with a woman for a while and I want a divorce because we are in love. And I'm leaving. You as a way better person than I would be to someone who treated me like crap, took care of his sick mother at night for however long. Then you got stabbed by someone because you didn't have a bunch of money on you when he assaulted you. You'd have thought that I would have given your stuff back, apologized for taking what little you had and found someone else, not stab you. Your husband got called as your emergency contact and suddenly sees the light that he truly loves you and wants to come home. Lord, yes, send him back to his AP and wish her luck. Or to whoever else will take him. I think having your mom order him off her property, then if comes back get him trespassed each time by the cops. You might then get an RO and get him to cooperate with getting the divorce. Also message I suggest with the cheating to please get a doctor's appointment and tested for STDs/STIs just to be sure, no hidden surprises.